values down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big time way. Yeah, yeah. Spreadsheet sports.
Welcome back to Spreadsheet Sports. Um, it's championship day. We have a little bit of a lot to go through. I want to thank everybody for coming to the channel first and foremost before we dive into it. I know you could have been anywhere else watching any other show, but you are here today. And thank you. Um, Championship, Houston, Florida. Great game to watch. Great game to bet on. Entertainment value is going to be there. I don't think they're going to let us down. Um, I'm kind of sad to see NCAA going away. Um, it's been a good run. I took it on. I played around over the years with NCAA, and played around is the key word. I didn't take it as serious as I did as the other sports that I'm like heavily betting on and so forth. But this year I did, and obviously I did tremendously better than I did last year because of the laser focus. Because I was betting like last year, I was betting like maybe 2, 3 days out of the week, not every day that there was a game. This season, every day I was betting, literally. Um, it was that much action, and it also helped me to stay on top of the teams and understand their styles and everything else. But either way, um, here we are. It's the end. Two great teams. I think we're going to be highly excited. And I've been able to like keep my finger on the pulse of everything. I had an amazing weekend. Amazing. Man, it was a good weekend. I had a lot of tickets to hit. I mean, it wasn't all college basketball, obviously, but it had something to do with it because it was college basketball paired with some MLB and paired with some NBA and paired with some hockey, and it was just hitting everywhere. It was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. It was a great weekend. But here we are. Um, let's dive in. Let's see how we pull everything apart. I got a really good show for you guys today. What I did was I literally took um, I have the previous games to break down the box scores, right? The previous matchups. I wanted to look at the scores for each team, right? All of the roster, right? Even partial bench players. And I also want us to pull the game apart like we always do, right? So we'll still go through the emotion of that. It's not going to be as long a video as the other because we only got one game to talk about, but I do have some depth of research that I have pulled apart for this game, and I think you guys are going to love it, and I think it's going to be very helpful for the research that you've already done for those that are betting on the game. Um, let's dive into it and let's see what we got. Our winners and our dogs, like they're starting to have a little bit of movement. Not a whole lot for the winners, but definitely for the dogs. Like the things that I'm identifying with them is um, a multitude of things, right? Like what really sticks out to me the most when it comes to the winners is that right now the movement I'm seeing is really just dealing with like the win-loss ratio on the road. Like those that win on the road better are winning, which makes sense. Everything else is the same, right? Everything else is the same. Like literally, the teams that are winning are doing 22 defensive rebounds or more. The teams that are winning are have an advantage of -2% or more on the difference on defensive rebounds of the two teams. 66% or more for the win-loss ratio on the road. Projection points is around 77. The fast break is around 10 points or more for the winners, and 71% DR and 65% for average projection from the data. If you find any games or any teams that identify with those KPIs, those metrics, then more than likely they're going to have a great game and be your winner. Now, on the other side of that, what you see is the market trends for the dogs is definitely kind of a little bit all over the place, and it's a little bit more sporadic to the point that like even when you look at like what's doing better, the defensive rebound difference is what's really changing here. The demand for a dog to win has to be a team that can out rebound the other team on defense. If they're an underdog and they can come in and have that type of game plan, they have a chance to win. They also need to make sure that they are doing some other things like getting at least 23 defensive rebounds, at least 3% difference or better for the difference of defensive rebounds between them and the other team. They need to be at least going to score projectedly 73 points and at least 10 points on the fast break. And they need to be converting at least 44% of their fast breaks. If they can do that, then that clearly shows in this chart what the trends are for what your dogs are doing when it comes to how are they winning when they win. But here's the thing. We didn't have any dogs that won for the Sweet 16. But what we did have is we did have some dogs that did cover the plus spread. So this data from the last 2 days is for those individuals that covered at least covered the plus spread because they did better than what the books thought that they would. So I still consider them a dog. So that's how I literally um, looked at that data. But the trend is a trend. It's moving in the way that it's moving. All you can really do is identify which way the wind is moving. You can't control the wind. The wind is just going to do what the wind does. But I always think this is interesting to look at, kind of like a nerd data, but I'm kind of nerdy at times, so that's cool. But this is what I got. Let me know if you guys, what you think about the market trends and if you think it even matters. But I do, and it seems to be consistent. The coaching matchup is pretty straightforward. Kevin Sampson, Ty Golden. Sampson has the better resume, 38 years in the game, close to 800 wins, if not over, because this data was pulled mid-season. So he's over 800 wins. Excuse me. Just the fact that he's been here before is clearly almost similar to the matchup against Duke, where Duke had a great team, phenomenal team. They didn't lose that game because they had a bad team, like, or an okay team and got lucky all season. No, Duke was those guys, literally. But at the end, I think psychologically the responsibility of the coach is to keep his players' heads in the game. And I think Scheider, if I'm not John Scheider, is that I'm pronouncing that correctly? You guys that take things so personal, you probably are mad that I said his name incorrectly, but get your feelings in check. But I think that he literally didn't have the experience to keep his guy's head in the game, and that ultimately is how he got out chess mastered. They clearly won the game. When you look at the data, when we're going to look at the data from the box score, they clearly had won the game. It was the fact that they took their eyes off the ball, not literally, but figuratively, and that's why they allowed them to come back. It was so crazy at one point that I was like, I was telling one of my friends that I was so glad that I got up and I went and I made a drink at halftime and didn't do a bet. I was looking for at halftime, I was looking for an alternate spread. And literally, I'm like, man, this might happen. Like, I was thinking that Duke was going to beat them by at least 11. I was getting ready to do that at halftime. That's the way I thought the game was going. And then all of a sudden, it switched. And it didn't switch fast. It switched like in the last 6 minutes, last 5 minutes. And they came out and they stayed in they stayed in it and they stayed in it and stayed. That's the good coaching. They stayed in it, right? Sampson kept his guys in it. And then he came in and swept it right away for the kill. Oh, man, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful dance. It was a very beautiful dance. But anyway, let's dive in a little bit deeper and let's look at the matchup between the coaches and the team together and see how that ranks. When you pull this apart, right, and you look at like the teams in addition to the coach, and if you've been following me, like literally when I did the ranking, when you're looking at the combo ranking, Most of you probably rely on like sports shows like ESPN and other commercial brands. And so they're going to have you in the mindset of, I hear people saying the phrase, oh, it's the number one team. Where's the number one team? Like, that doesn't exist. That's just something you got conditioned by the soap opera of those type of shows. But in the real world, when you're looking at data, there has to be if anything, there's a tie. But other than that, a numerical value, it's going to be the lowest and the highest, right? 1 to 10 million, doesn't matter, but that's going to be your ranking. But in the context of this, what I did was literally I pulled those 16 teams out and I ranked them as 16 teams, not them out of the 364 teams of the NCAA, right? For reference purposes. But as it pertains to this, Samson with Houston is still better than Florida. Remember, we were just looking at coaching alone, right? But now coaching with the team is still Kevin Sampson. Houston's a great team. Shout out to my cousin who told me this before the Sweet 16, and I'm not discrediting any of you that may have called Houston also. But he's the one that told me before Sweet 16 that Houston was going to win it all. And I really didn't see it then. I was thinking Auburn was those guys, right? I'm a BYU fan from betting, but because BYU were some dogs this season and they won me a lot of money on some upsets. But with Duke, I just didn't see anybody beat them, man. They were so huge. They were big down in the paint, but Houston showed them that they are the number one defense, and they proved that. They beat a worthy opponent, and they beat them. Not by tricks, not by anything. They just got outcoached. Samson's a great coach. I mean, we had a whole lot of great coaches in this tournament at this stage, right? But he's a great coach beyond just the X's and O's. I wish him well. I mean, Florida's going to be a problem. Like, even though they may not have the coaching part down pat, they still have a really great product. Really, really great product. And you got to also remember, SEC had, I think, 5 to 7 teams in the Sweet 16. And so with that being said, they're the ones that rose to the top to represent the SEC. So SEC versus Big 12. It's going to be a great one to watch. But I mean, even when you look at this, I mean, the one thing I like about Florida is that they do a really great job with converting over their fast breaks when they do get them. And they also have the 3-point game. They can run half court on you, or they can run a fast break and run and spread the whole floor. I mean, Houston can too. Let's be clear and honest about this. And they do have the number one defense, clearly. But is that going to be enough to slow down that three? Excuse me. Will the defense of Houston be enough to slow down the fast break point conversions? I'm not sure. We'll see, but let's dive in a little bit deeper. When you pull the data for the previous game, right, the previous matchups and how they won, right, I think this is very important for us to look at, mainly because I want to see how they won and see if that correlates into how they have to play in order to win the game that's on tonight, right? How did Houston beat Duke? Clearly, you see it here. They made more points. I mean, that's evident, right? They had more free throws. Not free throws, but field goals, right? It just took 2 more shots than Duke. And that very well may be the 2 shots at the very end, right? Literally. They also beat Duke in the 3-point game, right? They got 10 3-points versus Duke's 7. Free throws. That was Duke. They made more free throws. They also moved the ball around a little bit better on Duke's side. Houston did. I mean, that's the point guard's job to move the ball around, so they got to definitely do that against Florida. Florida does a great job, but Florida still lost that battle against Auburn, which is crazy. But back to the Duke and Houston matchup, I mean, the other 2 really great things that Houston did was that they did rebound the ball very well, 38 rebounds. They were in the paint, which was Crazy. I just did not see them in the paint going to war against them damn 7-footers that they had, man. But they did it. They proved me and everybody else wrong about them banging in the paint down there, man. I thought that Auburn would be a better matchup against Duke in the paint, but I was completely wrong. Horribly wrong. Like all they got is Broom. That's really it. But the other part, offensive rebounds, 15 to 10. So they just out defensive rebound them, out offensive rebound them. That's how they beat Duke. They are the dogs. They are those guys, and they have an amazing coach. Like it's hard to bet against Houston in this game, but it's really not because when you look at Florida 25 field goals to 25 field goals for Auburn. So they both shot the ball the same amount of times. It's just that Florida did much better. Not much better, but they had 8 3-pointers to Auburn's 7, right? 21 free throws that they made. So once they got into foul trouble, they did convert those to points. Auburn moved the ball around better, but clearly Broom, I think for Broom, he was playing hurt. And also the fatigue of playing hurt. He was giving it all he had. Nothing to take away from this young man. He's going to have an amazing future. He's a great player. But I think that him being hurt, playing hurt, not injured, but playing hurt, it was weighing on him extra because it was a lot of shots in the paint that he should have made that he was just falling short with. You could tell like his leap wasn't all the way there because he just didn't have enough gas in the tank. But anyway, neither here nor there. The other thing that Florida did great was rebounds and offensive rebounds. And I mean by a lot. They got in the paint and they got the ball. Now, will they be able to do that against Houston? I think they're gonna try. They're not some punks. They're gonna try. So it's gonna definitely be real chippy. Um, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's the way you can see how they beat the other opponent and how that correlates over into these games. I'm not quite sure. This is why I'm like it's going to be high activity, and we just don't really know which way it's going to go. But that's what I saw in the previous activity. Now let's look at what we got going on for the present / future. This is something I wanted us to look at. I wanted us to look at the actual like who are their players, and like everybody you see here clearly are. These are the starters / the people that like their main players, right? Points, time, all of the above, right? And when you look at Florida, they heavy on the guards. That's who's scoring for them. Same thing for Houston. Like we're gonna do this matching up, right? So guard for guard, you got your top 3 guards for Florida are getting you over 30. I'm sorry, over between 13 and 19 points, right? Houston's top 3 guards are getting them anywhere from 12 to 16. So Florida outscores them. Houston's defense is going to have to really play a huge part. Then you got, what are the forwards bringing to the table? The forwards are bringing anywhere from 10 to 11 points, and the forwards for Houston are bringing 8 to 11. So it's all about the same. It's just that Houston has the edge on the defense. Florida's going to have to outshoot them in spite of having a heavy defensive pressure on them from Houston. The center game. When you look at the center game, are you guys seeing that? Like, Florida's center is more involved than Houston's center. Houston's center is not really even making a contribution for points. He's going to really be there for rebounds, extra body, setting up screens, things of that nature. He's a utility player, not a production player. And you can kind of make that argument about Florida center as well. Chinyelo looks like he's a utility player / he does make a contribution, probably if he's right underneath the rim or something like that. But that's what we're looking at, guys. I mean, that's your matchups. Those are your people that are going to be playing. I guess if you guys are into the whole If you're into betting on the player props and you have that and it's legally, allowed in your state, then this would be really good information for you guys to see the matchup, even the defense, the blocks, the steals, the assists, they're moving the ball around. I mean, even when you look at that as well, like, do you see how well Florida moves the ball around from their top three guards? That's going to be a problem for Houston. Houston's going to have to move the ball around, but they don't. The beautiful thing about Florida, even though they lack the whole coaching part, they move the ball around very well and they score very well. And that may the Houston's defense has to stop that, and I'm sure that they're professionals. The coach is a professional. He knows that, and he has a game plan to address that. The execution of that game plan by the team is what we're watching for. But the coaches know what they're up against. It's going to be amazing, man. I'm still scratching my head. I mean, we're about to pull the game apart and really look at it, but I'm still scratching my head on this one, guys. And this is why it's going to be a lightning game because everybody's their production on both sides and his defense on both sides. I think we're going to be thoroughly excited about this game. When we pull this game apart, this is the famous part for me where we really get to look at the data and the matchup, right? This matchup, like, let's forget about how they went on the road or at home because they're all the same. Last three, last five, and on the road or at home is the same metrics. Both of them are the same. That means nothing now. That formula is relevant during the season. What matters now is the coaching and the amount of upperclassmen and activity, and probably in that order. Okay. Houston has the better coach. Houston has the better team from the combo rating that we looked at a little bit earlier, right? Houston also has more upperclassmen. For some people, that's enough. They don't even have to look at anything else, and they're like, literally, okay, game over. Houston wins, and then that's it for them, right? They have a short attention span. We're gonna dig even deeper because on the matchup, Florida is actually coming in with a better offense, almost similar to Duke, right? But they're up against a team that clearly knows and they proven to the world they are the best defense. If they beat Duke, I don't see Florida beating them. Like, I don't want to see. I just don't. I want to see it if it can happen because there's some value there, right? They're not paying a whole lot for it, but the crazy thing is the books are giving us plus cheese on this. Can you believe that? That's crazy. I feel like I'm being punked to something. Like, literally, like it's like, are you serious? Like, y'all really are doing this? Like, make it make sense. You really think Houston's the underdog? You guys seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Why do they think Houston's the underdog? And see, this is where I was scratching my head with the whole Auburn thing because I went against the books and I bet on Auburn to win. I also bet on um, Florida to win on a separate ticket too. But I did points and total points on one ticket for Florida because I didn't see them winning the game, but I did win that ticket. But I lost the ticket with Auburn to win the game, and Auburn was the underdog against Florida. I don't know whether the book is playing a trick on us and they're trying to make us think that Florida is the team, and they're really not, or I don't know. I don't know. And then the spread is only at 1.5. Like, you can't really buy it up to like 5 and still make some money off of it. Like, it's gonna be dog shit confetti if you try to buy up the spread. Ah, man. All right, so Florida had the out rebound Houston, or at least it is on paper. They haven't even met Houston. This is why they got to play. Um, Florida. moves the ball around more. We just saw that in the player data. Florida shoots the three a little bit better than Houston. I think coaching and the seniority on the roster is going to be their superpower. It's going to be Houston and the defense. The defense, the coaching, and the seniority is going to be Houston's superpower. Florida's superpower is going to be I think they have something to prove. I think they come in this game with that mentality, and if I'm the coach, I'm setting my guys psychologically up for that type of dogfight where it's like we got something to prove. Um, Injuries aren't a problem. I mean, literally, Raymond Walker is only really contributing 2 points, and he's one of the three guards, one of the five that they got. So, with that being said, I'm not really worried about that. Cryer, really good guard. He's going to give you. I'm thinking he gets more than 16 points. I'm thinking he's probably going to get close to 20. Clayton, really, 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 really good player. They got a lot of really good players. Tenacity, like all the way in. There's some dogs on Houston, but Florida, like you can't turn your head on them, man. They're not there by mistake. They're not there by mistake. Like they're representing the SEC. You had about 7, 8 different SEC teams in this tournament at this stage, plus at the Sweet 16 status are. And when you look at that, for them to battle everybody and get here, it wasn't by mistake. They deserve and earn the respect that they have right now. Do not look away from them. I know Houston was impressive because they beat Duke. Okay, that game's over. Look at this matchup. I'm not saying forget everything that you saw, but only remember what's relevant to now. What's relevant is Houston being the underdog. And I would say they're a better defense, they're a better coach, and they're a better leadership, senior, junior mix up on their team. Florida is a young team with a young coach, not young in age, in tenure. And you don't have the better defense. Defense wins championships. That's what I've learned ever since I've been playing sports in Little League. Defense wins championships. So, with that being said, if I have to pick something, because the data itself, the formulas are telling me Florida wins the game, 51%, 50%. My data has Houston at 51%, and my data also has them scoring 74 points. I think if you're looking for a bet, the safest bet, and no bets are really safe, but the safest of the bets I would choose on this game is I would be going for team points. I would go towards more so like 65 to 70, or maybe both teams over 65. You could even do both teams under 75 or both teams under 80 if you can find that, if they're paying decent for it. They've been pricing a lot of the both team scores. Very, very, very good. I got a lot of value from that. Made a lot of money this weekend, and pretty much the whole tournament off of points. Points, team points, total points. That has been my thing. Like spreads and all of that, I'll sprinkle in here and there. I'm more of a plus spread type guy, especially if I know a team can win and I just want an insurance policy instead of going all the way in on the plus cheese, right? For the dog, I would just literally choose for them to cover the plus spread, especially if it was 4.5 or more. That would be an easy one for me and would cash every time. But with this one, they got the spread tight as hell, 1.5. So they making you like really deep and dig into your soul and make a decision. Like you're gonna have to decide what you're gonna do. Betting both sides really doesn't give you any value in this game. It does give you value in some of the other games. Like the best I could do with betting both sides on this one would be Houston to win the game and Houston. You know what? Here's a safe bet for you. Take the spread up to 2.5 for Houston and do Houston since they're the underdog. Then the algorithm and the apps are going to give you a low score for Houston. So you probably can get Houston for 65 points or better, right? Which they're going to score 65. I wouldn't say 75, but they're going to score 65 points. I would take 65 and buy up the spread to plus 2.5. That probably combined together will give you at least over 180, maybe over 200, plus 200 on the bet. That's pretty good, and it's somewhat safe. If I have to choose anything on Florida, money line, and points, and then if you want to sprinkle anything on top of all of that, go under for total points. The bet is at 140. The line is at 146. I would bet under 146 for your points. I don't think it's going to be that game. They're not scoring 80 points apiece. I just hard no for me. No, they're not doing that. I think they're going to be 60 to 70 points on both teams, and I think it's going to be closer to 60 just because of the defenses and the nerves and everything else. Florida's going to try to outscore this game. They're going to try to light the gym up, which they should. That's their way to win. That's how they win, clearly, throughout the season. Nobody's been talking about it. They're like the best kept secret up till right now, right? Everybody's been Auburn, and definitely everybody was Duke. I was so tired of hearing about Duke's name, but that's where we are. That's where we are. So total points under, Florida money line, Florida 60 something points, 65 maybe is my cap. 60 to 65 points for over bet on team points for Houston. That's all I got for this game. It's gonna be one for the books. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the show. Last show for NCAA. I can't thank you guys enough. It's been a really good run. I won't say I'm gonna miss you because I'm gonna see you on the next show, which will be MLB, NBA, and NHL. It's gonna be the same format how I break things down. Like the formulas work, my models work clearly. Like I've showed you my record, I've showed you the journey. You see when I do bad, I'm not just telling you all the good stuff and not showing you the ugly part as well. Um, Feel free to look at my other videos, right? Look at the games I've called, the upsets I've called throughout the season. Like, not pounding on my chest, but I'm doing okay as an analyst of the game, of the sports with an S. I'm just using fundamental probability formulas for the models, a lot of AI with the algorithms. And just basic math principles. Like as I've said on a previous show, like when I watch games, it's almost like that scene in the Matrix where he's talking to the rogue, the guy that betrayed him, the bald headed guy, and he was looking at the screen and he was like, Neo walks up and says, like, what are you watching? He's like, I'm watching the Matrix. He's like, it looks like numbers. He's like, yeah, it does, but every once in a while you see the lady in the red dress. And when I'm looking at this data, like I don't watch Stephen A's and all that other stuff, nothing against them. I just don't, that's not my world. I'm not into the soap opera stuff. I don't care about whatever social life matters they got going on. I'm just here to talk about what the game is about, what they do. I don't care about what they donating to. I don't care about whatever ideology that some actor or ball player who they're marrying. I don't care. I wish them the best in whatever they're doing. I'm just here to look at the game. That's it. Period. Period. Um, and that's what matters to me, and that's why it pays very, 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 very well. It's been an amazing role. Anyway, I'll check you guys on the next show. Hope you guys found value today, and if you did, please like, comment, share, or subscribe. Spread the word. People let people know about the show, please. Like I said, there's some other shows that I follow that I've given some shout outs for. I hope you guys go to those shows and show them some love and definitely take advantage of what they got. And yeah, that's all I got. Make sure you watch one of these two shows that are over here. I'm gonna do a tutorial on round robins for you guys, and I'll put that video out here pretty soon. But I will see you on the next one for the next sport. Have a great day and enjoy the game.
Yeah, lights on, game time, let's break it all down. From the spreads to the lines, who's up, who's down. We're crunching the numbers, calling the plays, talking all sports in a big